Let's look now at Climate 200-backed independent Nicolette Boele, because she has taken the lead in Bradfield and is now likely to stay there. For more, I'm joined by our Sky News Chief Election Analyst, Tom Connell. Tom, you're at the touchscreen once again. Wow, this was the one potential bright spot for the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
And now it's gone?
Yeah, they were hoping to hold off on this. Remember, it was a Liberal Party seat. It's not gone yet.
Okay.
Calling it gone yet, but it's looking a bit ominous. So here's why. Look, this count is being totally recounted. So these numbers here were never reset. They started off at 56,200 and something each. The problem is the trend here. Gisele Kapterian started the count 8 votes ahead. A couple of days in, she was 14 ahead. Since then, it's been one way. So her lead's gone from 14 to now, as you can see, 28 votes behind. So a 42 change. That's been a pattern. There's been a clear pattern. This does often happen with recounts. If one candidate has a higher number of primary vote, as their vote is checked more, there are more to knock out because both have had votes reduced in this recount. You find a vote that is informal in some way and they both go down. 85% as well. So we're used to looking at normal counts. This is how much total turnout there is basically, but 85% of the recount's done. So the vast majority is done and it's still 28. What happens from here? Look, it's highly likely Nicolette Boele stays in front because for the trend to go in that last 15%, for her to somehow fall behind, I think you'd need something beyond the normal vote count, beyond the normal informal knockout, which might change things 2, 3, 4 in any given booth. You'd need an incorrect data entry or a wrong pile or something. So the real watch on this number is, does it stay that high or even go higher? And in that case, there might be a struggle for the Liberal Party to launch a legal challenge if indeed they want to. And the other thing it could stay above is the number of people that vote twice, Laura. So there's usually that number recorded in each seat. And if you've got a clear case of saying, well, the margin's 10 and 20 people voted twice, you've got a decent case at the Court of Disputed Returns for them to order a by-election, I should say.
Right.
So from here, the AEC, regardless, there's no more scheduled AEC recounts. I know some people said out there, oh, there's going to be another one if it's close.
No.
Once they finish this, they'll say, here's our result. If either party wants to dispute it, obviously the party behind, that's when they do it. But at this level or higher, A, you've got a harder case to make, and B, do you bother making it? It's also not cheap. They're not, the Liberal Party coffers are not overflowing. So I've given up trying to predict this seat because it makes a mockery of you, but it's just looking quite good for Nicolette Boele right now. That trend has got, been good for her. There's a bit of a way to go. It could come back depending on the distribution of preferences, but yeah, it's something that just trended over several days, and it's I think she'll be ahead. It's a question of how much.
So, Tom, the recount, 85% done. That'll be done within the next couple of days. But then what happens then? Is it sent off to the Court of Disputed Returns? What does the court then decide if it is challenged by the Liberal Party or perhaps the Independent here? So, long and short of it, it could be weeks, potentially months until Bradfield is sorted out, if there's a challenge.
Well, they will declare a winner still, but then it'll be subject to a court challenge.
Right.
So at that point, the AEC, let's say this plays out as it seems to be and Nicolette Boele wins by 35, or she's won by 35, then a separate court action can happen.
OK, so she'll still sit in Parliament. We'll see what the courts decide. All right, let's go to the Senate, which looks a little bit easier at this point. Even though with Dorinda Cox's defection yesterday, I mean, this doesn't change their numbers all that much, does it?
Technically.
Well, we know it's by one. OK.
Technically. OK, so here's what changes. So Labor at 28 at the moment, they get 29 from the Greens. Remember, they need 39 to pass legislation.
Yep.
Technically, they now have a path through the crossbench. Before they didn't. That is not even using the Greens, a path through the crossbench. So most likely thing is they use coalition votes or Green votes and they get there. It doesn't matter that one Green vote goes to Labor, for Labor and the Greens teaming up, it still equals 39. So none of that changes. Technically they can use this, but imagine the passage of getting 4 One Nation on board, plus Jackie Lamy, plus UAP, plus all the independents. They need every single crossbencher. Good luck on that. So I don't know. I'm calling that a technical path, but if a bill is passed with Labor and none of them on side on every single one of these, I'll be surprised. What it can allow as well, if someone's away and they haven't been paired, then from Labor, for example, then maybe it just gives them an extra amount to be able to get that passed. But again, because Labor and the Greens still add up to 39, I don't think this is particularly significant. What would have been interesting, because Labor could have possibly been on 30 with those last two One Nation seats. If Labor had won 30 plus they got to the Greens to 31, maybe then this opened up a little bit, but still, because One Nation would have been on 2. So because, remember, those spots, the final spots we saw in Victoria, and where was it? In New South Wales and WA just went to One Nation. So One Nation beat Labor here with 0.42 versus Labor's leftover of 0.63. They just beat them. So if Labor had won those final 2, then maybe 30, then they get to 31, then you're talking about, maybe they can get there with a bit more of a viable path. But given they fell short, I guess you never turn down a senator.
Never.
The next election happens and you've still got that senator as well. So I guess you never turn them down.
But Tom, I guess the one thing that this does give the government, the parliament, perhaps the opposition as well, the government can't say, oh, we had to water this policy down because the only way to get this through, we're not going to let this be a perfect failure here. We're going to get this legislation through. It's not exactly what we wanted, but the Greens, we had to negotiate with the Greens. Well, the government can't say that because it does have another pathway through, which is you've demonstrated. If I was to give some kind of, skerrick here, it's not much, but it is something, isn't it?
I guess this is what's interesting. Does Anthony Albanese want to blame the Greens or not want to...
He doesn't want to talk about them.
Well, yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, not want the reality that everything if they're not going to have coalition on board, they need the Greens. And he probably doesn't. It would have almost been, in a political sense, if he were one short there and needed Pocock or Lambie each time, I think he almost... This is less election analyst and I guess putting my hat on politics now or something. I think he almost would have preferred that, even though technically it makes it harder. And then he, the news article is Pocock helps this pass.
That's right.
Helps this pass. So, but it's an easier path, so you can't complain.
It's not just the Greens that they need. They could do it with the coalition or...
and plenty of stuff will happen with the coalition as well. And that's going to be an interesting strategy for them. How obstructionist are they, given their numbers? So.
Really interesting. Tom, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon.